September 7th, 2020. I hope everyone's doing great. I wanted to do a video relating to some of what I did in the last video about my message to source, message home. But I was watching a video from the Lost History channel on YouTube, one of my go-to channels I like watching, looking into history. It's like walking down memory lane because I see a lot of things that, again, doesn't matter if you believe me or not, but I remember doing these things. Whether it was me physically doing them or it's in my genetic memory, my consciousness remembers actually going around shaping stones, shaping waterways, harmonizing, building pyramids around the planet. The reason we do this, the reason why this happens, and the reason why there's ancient sites all over the world, and a lot of people say, the chips and chisels and copper and the slaves and any excuse they can try to come up with, despite it being completely ridiculous to anyone who actually thinks for themselves and looks at it and says, that doesn't make sense. So the truth is, from my memory, and again, I don't want you to believe me, we're on level 5. We are on the 5th cycle of creation that I remember. This is consciousness creates all this physical matter in front of us. Everything that we see, we are literally manifesting it into reality because we are in an ocean of fluid, of energy. It's perfect fluid. It's the ether. It's the waters above and below, as it says in the Bible, in Genesis. So it's a substrate. It's like imagine Lego blocks. Imagine you have a sea of Lego blocks in front of you, and you can literally say, all right, build whatever you want. Every type of imaginable block that you can even think of is there. And say, here, build whatever you want. That's kind of like what's going on in our world that we're looking at right here. Your mind had the desire to think for itself, to have a separation, take the training wheels off and let me try this thought. When we thought that, we immediately wrapped ourselves in the ego, a drop, or your higher self. And then, excuse me, I always do these videos after I just eat something, so I burp a little bit. That's not why I do it. I'm just saying I noticed it in the last video. I was like, oh, excuse me. And people are, what does this guy eat? But I actually eat very well. I just literally got done. That being said, it's not magnetism and electricity only. It's the conscious energy that actually brings those two forces into existence. It's all one force. It's consciousness. It's one field, not one field, but one will, a will to create. So you had the will, the desire to create, and you wanted to do it either with love to create harmony, or with anger and stress and whatever else to destroy things. Now, I'm not saying either one of them are right or wrong. Actually, they're both necessary. You need yin and yang, masculine and feminine. You need growth and destruction. You need new growth in the forest, and that takes fire to clear out the space. So they're both necessary parts of the same coin, or the same torus field, I should say. But there is, too much of the masculine or too much of the feminine. You can, too much feminine magnetism pulling in, you're going to hold everything in. People, if you want to look at a quick example for people, somebody that maybe lost somebody or they suffered some trauma, you'll see them holding on to material things. They want to gather things. Their house is crowded. They are like hoarders when it's really bad. Their cars are packed because they want. That's one way. That's not the only reason people do that, but it's a way to hold on to things that they feel like they're losing. They don't feel control of. They lost a loved one or lost this. Whatever it may be. So it's a safety net. It's something to hold on to. So you couldn't hold on to it energetically and emotionally, so you did it physically. Well, our world that we live in is kind of, we're doing the same thing because we all feel that loss, like we left home and we haven't been home in a long time. I think, deep down, I would imagine everybody does, but I've always felt this. I've always remembered that leaving source, but it wasn't really leaving. It was eluding or deluding myself. It was an illusion, or they call it the Maya. It is literally this ether that's flowing around us everywhere from according to your perception. It's literally going around you. What I see, when I see it going from left to right, circling around. If you look at my YouTube channel, there's a gentleman on the, well, it's a cartoon, but a guy looking into a spiral. Ideally, the GIF where I got it from, it was spinning, so it looked better. But on my YouTube, I made it my banner, and it was the closest I've seen physically to what I remember. Besides actually literally seeing, but a way to show you guys with material, limited technology we have. So there is creation. There's building everywhere, all across the planet. You will not find a place on Earth that we have not touched. Just you won't, because literally we are creating the planet. We are in mainstream. Call you crazy or whatever they want to do. And people, like I said in past videos, people have been put in mental asylums. They have burned at the stake, and a lot of things have happened to people who want to say truth because ego doesn't want that truth out there. It wants to keep you here in this, oh man, the civilization just started 6,000 years ago. We're the best we've ever been. Cheer, rah rah, America, or whatever country you live in. Yeah, cheers. We're the best. Yeah, no, nobody's better than anybody. And a matter of fact, if you want to get honest with it, we are in one of the lowest levels we've ever been. Now I'm talking physically level. Now a lot of people are spiritually farther than they've ever been because we are constantly growing our spiritual powers, our spiritual connection to source, remembering, shedding the layers in between, the shells that we wrapped around us, in between us and source. So we're dissolving those veils. That being said, I'm sticking with the physical here for this video because, like I said, I was just watching Lost History Channel talking about the physical history that interests me in this avatar, my body, Richard Witt, whatever you want to call it, this vessel that I'm driving for this time around. It really interests me, as you can see. It's all over me all the time. There are structures on the bottom of the ocean, all of the ocean. There are structures thousands of feet underground. I remember a time when, and again, this is why I didn't like doing this, because people think, oh, it's ego, he's gloating, he wants to, I don't want attention, I'm not selling anything, I don't want you to believe me. I'm literally just sharing something that I remember and I've held on to before any of us were in these physical bodies, and I'd like to share it with you because I think it's necessary. A little bit of information is going to help you go a long way, and myself included, because it helps me talking about it. There was a time I remember when I was, this is level 1, I believe, right when we started building. The first time we started building with physical matter, I was using my hands. I was literally molding stone with my hands. We were such a high vibration. Our energy was so high of a vibration that we could literally mold matter with thought, with emotion, and physical touch. So I remember literally we landscaped the entire planet. The entire planet. We found out where the chakras are. We listened to Mother Earth. We listened to God in our hearts. And we said, okay, Source, we want to do the best that we can do in this physical reality and shine and grow and then come home. So we're here to learn our lessons, but we can do it in a very harmonious, amazing way, or we can do it in the other way. Again, I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. It's what you want to do with your consciousness. It's your path and your karmic lessons. My path that I feel has always been, and again, I'm not perfect by any means, but my path has always been structuring, harmonizing, helping consciousness live in more harmony. So what I did, and the original, what we did, because there's many of us that I worked with, and a lot of them are here in this lifetime, whether they remember it or not yet. I see you. I see you. I know. One of these days you're going to remember. We're going to high five and say, remember what we did back then? And again, I don't remember a lot of it either. Actually, most of it I'll say I forgot because I've allowed myself to forget. But it's coming back. That being said, we had groups, teams that we went around the world. We literally built pyramids. We carved waterways. We structured. If you look at old maps, the Perry Reese map is a good example. If you look at Antarctica and the Perry Reese map, they show it without ice. But if you look, I mean, what do you call the northern border? It's what they say is on the bottom of the planet, Antarctica. But if you're looking at a map and you look at the top of Antarctica, so it'd be like, this top coast here, just the top of the coast on a map. You'll see in the Perry Reese map, it's like blocks, up, down, up, down. It's like a block, and it's literally a whole coastline. Well, I'm here to tell you that was everywhere. We literally landscaped the entire planet. We shaped it. We did the best we could, best I remember I could do, to harmonize the environment, to help create a more conducive environment for consciousness to come here and go to school or learn their lessons, or however you want to describe it. We came here to play out our karmic path that we have set in stone. And I knew, as I was building all this stuff, I knew this isn't going to be permanent. I was doing my best to make it last. And we, not just me, I'm not taking credit for everything, but we made it the best we could. We literally built stone that fit perfectly. We were shaping mountains. We were shaping rivers. projects that, anything that's doing in China right now, anything that we've done in the Panama Canal, any archaeology, any mining companies that are literally in Russia, they're carrying, the deep borehole. That's the deepest hole that they tell us publicly they drilled on Earth was like 7 miles. Or even the massive craters that are digging out. I know some of those are in Russia too. They just dig out down, a couple thousand feet and literally dig out whatever minerals they're looking for, or structures and civilizations they're looking for, but they won't tell you that on TV. None of that comes even close. I mean, not even close to the things we are capable of doing and the things we have done on this planet. And I remember it. Again, not all of it, but I remember enough to know that what we're doing now is child's play. We're nowhere near on a physical level. I mean, just look for physical level right now. What are we doing? What is society doing? They're poisoning every level of our society. The people who are the egos that are in charge at the moment of many people out there. They're, like I said before, they're in charge of you if you let them be in charge of you. But once you know that your true potential, that you are the creator, you are source, and you're wrapping yourself in this vessel, you are limitless. Now, with great power comes great responsibility, so we need to, myself included, and working on handling that and learning how to, learning how to properly navigate, really, is the best way to put it. So acting, doing your part, but not too much that you're interfering with other one's free will, because it's our choice to do what we want. So these people who are taking free will, in a sense, they're taking advantage of free will. So they're using their subconscious as a cheat. They're trying to explain things, and they trained us and poisoned us so much so that we don't notice what they're actually telling us, but our subconscious does. But the disconnect between humanity and the subconscious right now is so vast that it's really not fair what they're doing. It's going against universal law, and that's why they're losing again. That's why they're getting arrested and removed and wiped out. Not wiped out, but reminded and isolated so that they can't do what they've been doing. And that only happens if we want it to. If you just float around making noise, watching the news, saying everything's hunky-dory, or let's ask the government to save us, or whoever else you want to give your power away to, you're going to continue allowing that to happen in your reality. But I know for a fact now that after learning and having the surgeries and things that I've done over the last 20 years, and just things I've remembered this whole life and beforehand, that what we're doing is, a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us, what we're doing is I used this analogy before. It's like giving the car keys to the kid without teaching him how to drive. So, I'll do another rant on the negative aspect of what's going on to us, but every level, put it that way, just every level. You show me a level, I'll find a couple things to tell you, to explain to you how it's being used against you. And that is the only way they can ever have the egos can have a chance to have control free will, conscious, co-creating beings. So, again, your history, our history, my history is so much more than we're being taught purposely. And you are far more powerful, far more beautiful than you've ever believed, or that you've ever been allowed to think right now. And I know that sounds like I'm acting like I know everything that you think and feel, and I don't by any means, but from how we're living, how people are living in society, we definitely don't realize who we are and what we're capable of, and our place in this universe. We are blessed in so many ways that it's just it's escaping us at the moment because we're believing the shiny, bright, loud stuff, which is this egoic. Have you noticed the lights getting brighter around you? Look at your street lights, look at your LED lights in your house, the car lights. They're getting louder and brighter. That's purposely done because at this time the sun is changing to enlighten your consciousness. Artificial light's doing the opposite. So it shows, it's another example of the time is now to act and speak up and shine your light as bright as you can, or co-create this reality in harmony and love. And then remember, most importantly, that by doing all these things, you're helping others and yourself return home. So the real goal is to go within home. And we're allowed to play on this physical plane as long as we feel necessary. But there's consequences. There's if you live out of balance long enough, this board is proof, stuff gets bumpy. And I remember it. So going back to the history, level 1 built things I don't remember building. And I have sensations and feelings of, holy shit. Wait till I see that. Wait till I remember what we did. It's grand scales of building, but when we realize that the world resets, because if we're living out of harmony, it needs to reset. You can't have perpetual imbalance. That's not how this works. So once we realize that things are going to fall apart, everything's going to turn to dust again, well, what do? Well, you say, okay, well, how do we prevent this from happening next time? What can I do? Because I know I'm leaving. My whole society's leaving. What can I do to prevent this deception, or as much of this deception, next time? Because right now our society's out of balance, but we are being deceived. Truthfully, we're letting ourselves be deceived. So knowing that, and knowing that everything resets, what can we do right now? What would you do right now to prevent that from happening? Myself, I would say, get information out there as much as possible. Just share knowledge with people so they can decide for themselves, this is right, that's not, this is right. And then everyone talks, well, not then, but during, we all talk, figure it out, compare notes, and say, oh, okay, well, this is right, and that's wrong, and this has got to be right. Here's the proof. So getting information out there, reminding yourself, going within, and showing love, shining love, that's the true way to completely harmonize everything, by radiating love, by healing yourself. So again, that was a lesson from lesson 1 when I was in level 1. So when I was in level 1, we were physically as well as emotionally working on ourselves, but we could have did more emotionally inside, but we were doing a lot of physical things. And then we went down another level and we got more physical. And then down another level we got more physical. And then down another level we got more physical. But here's the trick, or the catch. The more physical we got, the less physical you get. Because the more you attach, the more you push it away. So by us getting more attached to the physical, the next level we got smaller physically, emotionally, intellectually. We just didn't have the energy abundance as we did in the last, where we forgot about it more and created things that weren't as great, weren't as clean, weren't as in harmony. In level 1, when we built buildings, I think it was towards the end of level 1, because like I said in previous videos, we were etherical. We were literally energy. We weren't just physical bodies. We're never just physical bodies, but we weren't as physical as we are now. So you're vibrating so fast that you literally touch matter and you can move it or heat it up or maneuver it and manipulate it. That happening in level 1, going to level 2, you lose that touch. So you start touching physical matter more, but you can't manipulate it as much. You don't have as much strength to levitate that stone and move it over here and shape it this way on top of this mountain, from 500 miles away. So our buildings got smaller. Our building structures got less advanced, And again, I was going back to level one. Level one, everything we did has multiple meanings, still to this day, but way more back then. So if you look at a building now, like say the Great Pyramid of Giza, that was built. I don't think it was built like that in level one. It was more later down the line, 2, 3, 4. But that site was worked on underground things in level one. We literally carved out cities underground. So labyrinths, the labyrinth, there's one underneath there. The Sphinx covers it up. The pyramids are on top of it. So those pyramids were more of a snorkel, a way to get some fresh air down below, especially when the oceans are rising a couple hundred feet. And I think they went right over the top of the pyramid when it first hit, but people had enough. We built it so we had enough underground to survive, and then when the water subsided enough, we have ways to check. Then we can pop the top and get some fresh air and see where's land at. So it was essentially like Noah's Ark. I'm not doubting that there's a boat Noah's Ark. There's actually, they found one on Mount Ararat, and that's hushed up. But they found that in the 80s, I think, maybe 90s. And it's a boat. It's a massive ship, and they carbon dated the wood and everything. So it's definitely there. Now, the pyramids aren't just in Egypt. They're global. They're on every continent. Because when you realize that society's fallen apart, not all of society was imbalanced. Not all of people are imbalanced. Excuse me. There's usually more people in balance, but the people out of balance are louder, more obnoxious. They don't care about karma. They don't care about. They're literally being trained to think that nothing matters. There's no consequences to your actions. That's what they're being trained to think, and a lot of them believe that. And when they believe that, they can do some bad stuff, some unharmonious things. So these people were living out of balance long enough that it's like, oh, you guys aren't cleaning this up. It's something's got to happen. So the earth was vibrating out of frequency, out of harmony, and then she says, all right, shake it up a little bit and get this shit back together. So she's literally shaking the bugs off of her to help her frequency, to tolerate it. I mean, think of like a plant that doesn't get water. If that plant wasn't getting enough water, you see a leaf right there, actually. That leaf will shed. So the plant will say, okay, we have this much water in the root system and we have this many leaves to sustain. It's like a numbers game. It's a calculation. So it says, oh, well, this one's, five below. I'm just throwing numbers out there. 5, 6 below where we needed to be. All right, start removing nutrients from that one and bring it back to the root system. And we'll shed that leaf. So it's like that with the earth. When people are out of balance, there's not enough to sustain them because there's always enough to sustain if we're in harmony, but when we're not in harmony, that's when resources get scarce because people are abusing things. We're not living in harmony. Like right now, we're not going to get into, this is more about history today, but it's happening with food right now. People are starving, we're throwing food away, and it's just, so the earth shook everything up, got rid of the leaves that weren't vibrating in harmony, and did what it needed to do. And then whoever was alive came back and says, all right, we're going to do it better. And when we do great. We start building and remembering and saying, yeah, here's the history of the past. We need to hold on to it. We saved the papyrus scrolls and the copper and gold. And back then it was, golden plates of information because they would last longer than papyrus. Papyrus was just, I think, the last cycle. That being said, we could have wrote, I don't know, back then on papyrus. I'm sure we did, but I don't think any of it would be left by now. Unless you were in some sort of, and again, you can make a frequency-based chamber to protect it from the elements and preserve it. So I'm sure there are some of those floating around somewhere. The labyrinth under Egypt. There's actually a sphinx. Let me see if I can point to it right there. Oh yeah, right there. That sphinx is in Romania. Underground Romania, there's pyramids and structures. I don't know if pyramids are underground, but there are pyramids there and there are structures underground, like the labyrinth in Egypt. But there are tunnels. They say we've built 3 times underground more than we have above ground, and I can definitely vouch for that. I remember literally, this blew me away. Not blew me away. I expected it, but when I saw it, I was like, there it is. I remember literally with my hands and some tools we used to literally go. Psh, psh. It didn't make that noise. I'm just doing that for effect. But so there's a layer here. I'd use my hand on the stone or a tool, depends on what we were doing, and I go. And then the next level down, and just take scrapes. And it's one of those real methodical, pleasing, satisfying things. Like you ever watch a video of like dominoes falling or somebody scraping something clean that was real, power washing a driveway. That's another one. So it's one of those methodical, soothing things, and I enjoyed doing it. So I think that's partially why I still hold on to that memory. Is I literally remember going around and shaping stone. And then as I'm studying the world, I see the same exact pattern I remember doing in China underground, in Egypt, in Romania, in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria area, Africa. It's all over the world. We were all over the world, and it was just more confirmation to say, all right, just speak up, tell people, and I'm not here for attention. I don't want to, I'm here to help remind everyone to just let's shine our love. I don't want you to attach to me the messenger or anything. Just know that you are the power inside you, and we can live in harmony or disharmony, and how we live matters, and you judge yourself. So when you leave this life, leaving level 4 the last time around, and I look back at everything and I says, well, you know what, I can do more. I want to do more. And I seen the way the world was, I decided to come back. So, but when you look back, you say, oh, why did I do that? Or I could have did this better. It's not flames and lava and Satan with the pitchfork, attacking you. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are, people have lucid dreams, and they have, for example, doctors in this lifetime overdosed me on ketamine when I was in the hospital for my back surgery. Purposely. They said this will help reset your brain receptors so the pain medication will work. Pain drugs would work. Didn't work. It actually made the pain worse. But the point is, when I was out of my body during that overdose, I seen things. I was, attacked by things. Things that are, things that you wouldn't see in the physical world. And it was like I think it was my ego. So it was the ego trying to lash and attack at you. And then you know that you are more powerful than the ego. And as soon as you know that, it's gone. It can't hurt you. Once you're not afraid, it does not feed off of you. So that really helped me. That whole scenario helped me. But the reason I say this is because some people say, oh, there's demons, or I see this, or I see that. It's ego. Your ego is manifesting these things and created to scare you. So if you know that you are more powerful than that, and it can't hurt you, it's not going to hurt you. It'll go away. It disappears. We know this as kids. We fear things under the bed. Now we look under the bed and there's nothing there. It's like, I knew there was something there, but I looked and it's gone. You think there is, and it's not there. It's a fear-based trauma. We really have it, because these resets are cataclysmic when they happen. I mean, mountains of water rolling over mountains on land. A mountain above of a mountain of water. So you're at the base of the mountain looking at the big mountain, then you see a whole mountain above that worth of water, and you're like, yeah, what do you do? It's shocking. I remember this partially. I remember dying and buried by mud. How I know this, I don't know, but it was 330 something feet of mud. And then I also remember a big flood. A different lifetime. So I remember a huge flood of water. I don't really remember like a solar flare or anything burning things. So I don't know if I experienced that one. And again, you don't have to experience these things. We have the choice to wake up and leave this reality at any time, as long as you work at it and decide you're going to do it. And monks and the rainbow body, if you study Tibetan history and the monks there, and I mean, there's plenty of proof, and I'm not asking anybody to believe me. If you research it, you'll see for yourself. But when we had this trauma from these cataclysms, these floods, or whatever it may be, it's all in our DNA. Your genetic memory has everything your ancestors ate, drank, thought, and felt. Which means if they died in a flood, or a car accident, or a gunshot, or this or that, somewhere it's in there. If they didn't deal with it themselves, if they just suppressed it, says, oh, I'm going to drink alcohol, or do this, or do that, and just forget about it, that suppresses it, and then you pass it down in your genetic code. When you reproduce yourself, you're saying, here's the torch. I didn't want to deal with this, this, and this, but I dealt with that, and that. Now it's on you. That's really what it is when you have a child. When you reproduce, you are passing down that karmic debt, lessons, everything, good and bad, or harmonious and unharmonious. So that's in all of us. That DNA is in all of us, that memory. And that's one of the ways that these people, the egos today, have been able to manipulate us, because they know we've been traumatized many times. And then they do once you're traumatized and you can be manipulated, they manipulate us into war. And then they manipulate us into slavery. They manipulate us into trafficking. And they manipulate, all these bad things. Once they traumatize you, then they mess with your mind and push and prod and do this and that. And they can get people to go to war over oil, when we don't even need to burn oil. We literally can fuel ourselves with water, our whole planet. Not even that. Magnetism, pyramid power. Another video. But the whole point of this is our history goes way farther back, and it's way more advanced than we're ever taught. Not only that, there are cycles, there are levels. And these levels, we've been getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Smaller, smaller, smaller. That doesn't mean it's like, doesn't mean that it's going to end like once you get to this certain size you're going to stop, because there have been beings smaller than us. There's been all these mythology, what we call mythology, or many people do, and these oral histories that have been passed down for thousands and thousands of years. Nearly all of them are rooted in truth, if not all of them. Yeah, there's some embellishments in there for sure, but there were giants. I know that for a fact, and I don't want you to believe a word I say. I will show you proof over the next few months, and I think I already have in a few of my videos. And there's so many more people out there doing way better videos than I do right now, because I don't like making videos, to be honest with you. I like learning, researching, and sharing. So, yeah, the video quality is not great, but hey, we're getting the information out there, and I'll improve as I go. But we can do better. We really can do better. We have done better, and we will do better. I know we are. I've seen it. So we will harmonize this whole planet again. I've done it before with not me alone. Source has done it through me and all of you, I'm sure, or many of you, especially if you're incarnated in this life now. You're here for a reason. This is time to really transition the planet. So there is a lot of things that we're going to learn, and people are going to not want to accept right away, and I don't blame you, but open mind, not too open, but open enough to, there might be a possibility there. It's going to really help you in this next coming years, put it that way. We're going to see a revitalization of the economy, the world. Our spiritual connection is most important. But like I always tell people now, if I'm helping them with health or anything, any advice I can, not advice, but when people ask me what I've done, I say, well, this has helped, this has helped, this has helped. And I usually start with the physical, because when your physical is just the receipt of your energetic transactions. But by reconciling the receipts, you can help reconcile the energy as well. So it goes both ways. So you can create out of balance, or you can create imbalance. So if you're doing it on both angles, so taking hemp oil to balance your endocannabinoid system helped me out immensely. And in other ways, eating cannabis raw, if it's legal for you to get, and you're in a city or a state, which is ridiculous as well. There are certain states, imaginary borders, where it's okay to grow and eat and consume a sacred plant. You cross an imaginary line, and you can be put in a pen and everything taken from you. Where are the adults? Where are the adults? It is a sacred plant. How dare anyone try to take that plant from anybody? It's karma's seeing it, karma's watching, and I send love to everybody that has done that and has, put people in prison and things. And you can heal and you can help others, but you have to choose to. And just because most of the people around you say, yeah, you're doing good, you're fighting a fight, think for yourself, please. There's a lot of people right now, families that have been devastated because of this knowledge and this sacred plants that have been taken from us. And there's people, there's a lot going on worldwide that most people don't. They got their head in the sand. They don't want to see it. And I've seen this over and over again. And I've seen it get bad. I've seen it get really good. I would like us to be in this cycle doing it very well and healing, and not what I've seen happen before too. That's not fun for anybody. So that's why there are structures all over the planet, the entire planet. You will not find a place that at one time in history we didn't work on. I promise you that. Unless there's something that I've purposely forgot, some sacred spot that, Source said, hey, that's me, leave it alone. And now that I'm saying that, there quite possibly can be. But most of the planet we have worked, built, reshaped, rebuilt, and then when we're out of balance, the earth reshaped it, rebuilt it, buried it, wiped it away, solar flared it, wind, rain, lightning that would shake planets. It did shake planets. So there's a lot of things acting here that we're being convinced that is not going on. And it would behoove, which I don't care for that word, it would be more beneficial for you in your consciousness, in your path, I think, to at least look into some of it, figure it out a little bit for now. I know you're all going to eventually. That's how this works. If you don't do it now, you'll do it the next life or the next life. But eventually you will remember this. We all do. Everything we eat, drink, think, feel, do reverberates, and our DNA is recording it. Everything you say to your children, everything you say to your loved ones, everything you say to your enemies, everything you say to politicians and educators and all these things, everything we say reverberates and it affects people. So that information shows you that lying is only lying to yourself, because everything isn't a reflection. Like I said before, and I mean, countless people say this, it's the way we work. This is a reflection. I am like as right now I'm talking to this computer and I can see my face back in it as a reflection. So I can see, was my hair messed up? Oh, I have a hair sticking up. Oh no. Or, my beard's out of place. It's a reflection. So it's showing me what I look like. Well, that's exactly what this world is doing. And the world is showing what I look like too. So that's another example. I see the world out of balance, which means I'm out of balance at times. And again, I see the world with amazing beauty and harmony and the potential to be completely harmonized. And I also see the dark, negative aspect of society and the world. And that means that it's something for us to heal, for me to heal. Because we all have infinite potential. And we all have DNA from ancestors that have traumatic things in the past that we can, if we choose to, heal and harmonize. And with that, we can literally inner landscape the body, mind, spirit, but also the outside world, the reflection that we see. And I don't know about you, but I really enjoy looking at a beautiful reflection outside. Beautiful, natural-looking environment, mountains and rivers, and buildings and stuff, but built in a more harmonious way. Look up earth ships. We can build houses that are completely self-sufficient. They work with nature. And none of those aren't even the best that you can do, but they're very well in this level that we live in. We can live so much more in harmony and so much easier, really, because we're doing a lot of hard work, but it's not being utilized like it can be. It's not going to it is what it is. Everybody's lesson is their lesson, and you're doing things. Everything's happening the way it needs to happen. My point is, in the present moment, it no longer needs to happen like it did in the past. From now, you create forward. Right now, you're creating. Whatever you want to think, feel, and do is going to create. So we've created, we've built, and we're continuing to build things that are incredible. And I'm just asking, you don't have to believe me, but by living more in harmony within, our outside will reflect and our society will improve. So if we can all, even for a moment, just like do a group meditation. We've done this. I've worked with people who have done this. Their YouTube channels have way more followers than I do, and we set up a date and we all meditated, and literally the Schumann resonance goes up that moment. Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason why it did, but that's special. There's a lot of power that we're being convinced to use for sports teams, being convinced to use for false idols, being convinced to use for religions that are manipulating that power. We will do a religion video too. There's a lot going on there, but I've seen it. It's happened many times. I've seen it in the past. It's just a way, because ego knows that we all want to go home to God, so it's going to try to put a filter between there to divert our energy, which took it right to a church or a mosque or a temple. That doesn't mean those places are bad at all. I love everybody and all your religions. I respect all of you. Every race, creed, color, gender, religion, whatever you are, I respect you and who you are, your spirit. I'm not going to agree with everything your ego says or does, but I don't expect you to agree with everything I do either. But we can have a mutual, harmonious environment and relationship with each other because we're all one. And reminding the ego that it is a vessel for us to carry on through this life, and it can be the most comfortable, luxurious vessel you want, or it can be a clunker that has trouble getting out of bed in the morning. So yeah, that's what I want to say. So I got a little off in a tangent. I want to stay on history because that lost history video, like I said, I'm going to share the video with them too, see how they like it. But our entire planet, everywhere, under the Sahara Desert, under the Atlantic Ocean. A lot of that's really messed up under the Atlantic because the way when Atlantis sank. But there are pyramids right outside of the Azores, underwater pyramids under the Azores. There's a complex, I don't know the name of it at the moment right now, but it's underground in Russia. It's massive, and that's small compared to what we've done. But modern day now, we would say, wow, that's massive. Who did that and how? They had to be giants. They could have been. And people are just as capable at this size as we were at the massive size. In terms of, it'll take more people, more energy and work to do it, but if we really want to, we can still do it. Now, some things, there are, some things we've forgotten for so long that it's going to take some time to remember. But my point is the core essence of us, who we are the creator, capable of absolutely everything. So all of our buildings can be zero waste, actually adding to the environment, helping the environment by cleaning up the air, by fueling the local area with energy, by structuring the energy, the harmonics. So right now we're doing this already. We're building cities based on harmonics, and they're using those patterns to take brainwash us pretty much. So we can reverse that grid and use it again like we did in the past with the pyramids all over the world for harmony. So I hope that helps some of you. Again, I don't remember everything, or I don't remember most of the last. I know for a fact that there are 5 cycles that I've gone through, and I don't know how exactly long each one of them were, but there's a lot more that we get to remember and learn from. And again, if you see people around you destroying history, statues, burning books, persecuting somebody for saying something, that's ego. That's the enemy right there. And it's not an enemy to fight. Never fight. That's never the answer. Show it love. Say, ego, I see you, I understand, it's okay, I love you. You will figure it out, and I'll help you. I will guide you through it. And we will work together and harmony to create a beautiful experience for both of us while we're here. And then when it's time to go home, it's time to go home. And I mean, we can, there are no problems that are out of our reach. None of them. So I'll talk to you guys later, and thank you for watching, and be well.